webinar of today focuses on a subject which every leader is aware of, not only as the most important prerequisite of leadership, but also knows as one of the greatest challenge a leadership will ever face. And the subject as such is that which is very close to anyone who is in public life: integrity and accountability. I once again request Your Excellency Shri RF Mohammad Khan ji, Captain Shekhar Dutt has been facing little technological challenge here, and probably it is broadband connectivity issue. But then when he joins, he will take on the subject further. May I request you now to start your opening statement, sir?
Thank you very much, Sagita. I'm very happy that at this time when we cannot organize seminars on these important subjects, you have decided to organize this webinar. And as you said, this is the fourth in the series on the subject of leadership. The concept of leadership, the idea of leadership, there we cannot say that there is some fixed, rigid definition. The Western concept is best articulated by Somerset Maugham, who said that there are 3 rules for creating good leaders, and unfortunately, no one knows what they are. So there are no perfect leaders, and that's why good leaders are always trying to improve themselves through self-study, training, education, making mistakes, and learning from those mistakes. I can quote few more Western scholars, but I would like to come to what is the Indian concept of leadership. And the best example that comes to my mind is when Guru Dronacharya started education of the 105 princes, 100 Kauravas and 5 Pandavas. This education was education for leadership. And the lesson which he imparted on the first day was Satyam Vad Dharmam Cha. Speak truth and act right or righteously in whatever way you want to translate it. Now the important thing is that in the evening when the Guru asked the students to recite what they were taught in the morning, all 100 Kaurav princes and 4 Pandav princes, they readily recited the line. But the man whom we know as Dharmaraj, that is Yudhishthira, he said, I have not been able to remember the lesson, to learn the lesson. And he was, every day he gave the same answer about the first lesson. And at the end of his life, he said, the lesson which was imparted by the Gurudev on the first day, it took me a lifetime to learn that lesson. Why? because merely repeating what the teacher had instructed, it would have been parrot-like. Remember, learning the lesson meant that he should, the lesson which he is trying to learn, he should live that lesson. And Shankaracharya, in his commentary, commenting upon this sutra, he explains that Satya is the speaking of truth, while Dharma is the observance of truth in action. So basically, I think the Indian tradition tells us that one basic essential for the leadership is to have the courage of conviction, not only to speak what they perceive as truth, but also to stand by what they perceive to be the truth. And in standing by their conviction, the leader is not influenced by extraneous factors. So I feel one more point I would like to make, and again from Indian tradition, that I feel that the test of the leadership is to have the capability to create conditions in which individuals can realize their innate potential. One of our Upanishad says that na aksharam mantrahinam, na moolam noshidham, ayogya purusham nasti, ayojak istatra durlabha. There is not a single syllable which does not have the power of the mantra. There is no root or leaf which is without the power of medicine, and there is no individual, she or he, who is devoid of qualities, who is devoid of potential, who is devoid of capabilities. What is scarce, what is rare, is the organizer who can identify those qualities and create conditions where those qualities can become productive, not only for the person who has those qualities, but for the society as a whole. The major points which you have said, which is mentioned in your letter, integrity and accountability, I think it is covered by Satyam Vad Dharmam Char, and the second example which I have given you. This is as you required. This is my opening statement.
Sir, thank you very much. I would like to dwell further on the theme expended so far. And when you mentioned that leadership is all about being what you are, and that must be seen to everyone, and what you preach is what you practice. And if in the army parlance we can say walking the talk, then question here comes that there would be situation where the biggest temptation of the leadership is to compromise somewhere and negotiate the challenges through shortcuts. Still, he would retain the leadership position, but the compromise which is made may be seen by the followers. So, how such leadership is in position, and how long that position will be held by such leaders?
Well, I would submit that if we try to analyze the question which you have posed in the context of the Indian tradition, then we have a brilliant example. We have the two ideal leaders of this country who continue to inspire people even today are Bhagwan Ram and Bhagwan Krishna. Now, when we read in detail, or even I would say not even in detail, if we have some idea of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, then one comes to the conclusion that Rama was a stickler for rules. He upheld every rule, every law, every regulation. And both these names, people believe that they are the incarnation avatars of Vishnu. Now they are avatar of the same deity, but their behaviors are totally different. And what in fact, a Hindi poet had summed it up beautifully. He says, Ram Maryada Purushottam, Ek Vani, Ek Vachani, Ek Patni. Krishna Leela Purushottam, Makhan Chor, Chit Chor, Ran Chor. They both were upholding the Dharma. They both were fighting, they both were struggling against evil as the avatars. But the strategy of both the leaders was different because Indian tradition has not only the concept of Sanatan Dharma, Indian tradition also has the concept of Yug Dharma and Desh Dharma, Kal Dharma. So, whereas Ram upheld every rule, Krishna bent every rule. Then what was the common between the two? The common factor between the two was neither of them was doing it for selfish reasons. They were doing it for Lok Sangra. They were doing it for public good. They were doing it to bring an end to the dominance of the evil that was prevailing at that particular time at that particular point of time. So it gives us room to act in a manner where larger good, the larger goal, the larger purpose is served. The common factor, what decides whether something is righteous or not righteous. The righteous thing, if you apply these standards, then if you are not doing something for self-aggrandizement, if you are not doing something for selfish reasons, then even bending of what you are saying, compromise, that bending of the rule, but that should be for a larger purpose, for Lok Sangra, to uphold the order in the society. So the room for that compromise is there, but with the rider that there is one thing in the matter of principle, you should be rigid. In the matter of style, you can be fluid. Therefore, if the compromise within the definition of the style, how to achieve that larger goal, how to maintain this sangra, then I think that rigidity is not there. And one thing we must also remember that as far as Indian tradition goes, generally we have heard so many times, even political parties, leaders in parliament and outside, whenever something important according to them comes, then they appeal to the opponents, rise above politics. That is not the Indian concept of politics. The Indian concept of politics is Sarve Tyaga Raj Dharmeshu Drishta, Sarve Diksha Raj Dharmeshu Yukta, Sarve Vidya Raj Dharmeshu Chokta, Sarve Loka Raj Dharmeshu Pirvishta. Politics means, our minds must be only if we become aware of our own traditions. Then going for leadership means that you should be ready to make the highest sacrifice. You must be in a position where all sacraments are united in politics. You should have the as they have said, tapa swadhyay nirittam. In fact, somebody told Galileo that those who are in public life, the leaders, they do not have time to read the books. Galileo said, I understand what you are saying. But those who do not read the books, those who do not make new studies, they don't deserve in the politics. They don't deserve to be in the game of leadership. So the Indian ideal of politics, rather Indian concept of politics, where all the highest sacrifice it denotes, highest sacraments, highest knowledge, and all people without any distinction serving them. That is the ideal of Indian politics.